What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Godly Potential YouTube channel. Back at you another video in this Spirituality for Beginners series. In this particular video, it's all about the vibrational frequency. What are vibrations? Why is it important? What does it have to do with spirituality? Maybe you've heard about frequencies and vibrations. Pretty sure you all use the term that, I don't know, that person's vibe is off. I don't like the vibe of this place. Well, we're going to talk about why that is, why you said it, and why it's a real thing, and why you should be aware of it. So, everything in this physical universe vibrates. Science will tell you this. Every single thing. You and I vibrate at a particular frequency, a specific frequency. All the objects around you vibrate. You look around your environment, your physical environment, you may say, no, all this stuff's it's still. It actually isn't. On a very microscopic level, the atoms in which it is made up, it's vibrating. You look at a mountain, it's vibrating. Look at a stone, a crystal, it is vibrating. So everything in this universe vibrates. Everything in this universe is made up of energy. So, if everything vibrates, everything's made up of energy. This can tell you that, look, my spirit, my soul is made up of energy. It vibrates because everything vibrates. That alone lets you know that there is life after the physical body, life after death. Because once the spirit leaves the body, and they also did a study saying that, or showing that, whenever someone died, the moment of their last breath or whenever they passed, that physical body became lighter by so many ounces or grams. I don't remember. Because that spirit transitioned and moved on. Because energy can't be destroyed, only transferred. However, that's not what the video is about. We're not talking about reincarnation and the death process. We're talking about vibration, frequencies, and energies. So, one of my introductions into this topic was when I watched a video a couple years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago at this point. This lady was on there. She was talking about how the veil on Earth is becoming thin. What is a veil? That is a veil that divides I believe, the third dimension and the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension, you can say there's more spirits there, or the planes of existence, you can say. So when the veil thins, that means spirits can cross over a lot easier. You can see them more clearly. They say the veil is thin at like 3 some at night. They call it the witching hour. As well as on Halloween. That's when the veil is the most thin. However, in this video, she was saying the veil is becoming more thin. So you're going to start seeing a lot more crazy stuff. You're going to start seeing a lot more unexplainable things. People are going to start acting differently just across the globe, across the world. And her advice to deal with this is to vibrate higher. And so I'm going to be talking about vibrating higher. But I'm not going to lie. As I was watching this video, fears begin to come up. Because I'm like, what? This stuff's going to start happening. You start seeing this stuff. And this when I first got on my spiritual awakening journey. I'm just new to all this stuff. I'm just consuming everything. Because my main focus at the time was astral projection, lucid dreaming, traveling outside the body, meeting spirit guides, yada, yada, yada. I was just looking up all the love and light stuff, as you will. However, I didn't think about what's on the opposite side of that coin. These lower level entities do exist. And at a certain point, it almost prevented me from moving forward. Because I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for all that. I don't want to see none of that. Because you will hear horror stories, people getting on here. They'll say, why I went back to the church and religion. Look, no shade, you do you, but they'll say that and make these videos, and they'll say how they just had these encounters, these just these evil things. Really quickly, fear is a low vibration. Bliss is like one of the highest vibrations. So when you're vibrating low, you're going to attract lower level vibrating things. Lower level vibrating things are these lower level entities, these shadow people, these leeches, these things that just want to feed off fear, anger, and just lower level activities. Then on the opposite spectrum, you have the higher level beings. You have your ascended masters, your angels, your gods, your higher, more highly evolved people and entities. So when I started hearing about all this stuff, and she was saying you got to vibrate higher because all this stuff happening, fear came up within me, and fear lowers your frequency. And so you may be experiencing this as well. You may be getting to all this stuff and you want to do all these things, and then fear may come in and stop you. But the one thing that helped me was I came across some information. I was watching a video a couple years ago, and this guy, he was saying that he was astral projection, and he came across this shadow being. And a shadow being is basically an entity in the astral planes that feeds off of negativity, fear, just lower level emotions. And he explained that he was talking to this being, and he came to realize that this thing is just a leech. It only lives, it only gets stronger, it only feeds if I feed it fear, anger, anxiety. If I give into those fears and emotions, that's when the thing becomes stronger and it feeds. So his realization was, I have the power to feed this creature, this entity. If I give into the fear, I'm feeding it. If I don't, it's going to starve. And this thing's starving. If it feeds off of me, that means I'm stronger than it. So, stumbled across the information that the lady said in her video. Like I said, fears came up, and I was like, do I really want to astral project? I stopped trying to do it for a minute. But then I thought to myself, can I really just forget all this exists and just go back to my normal, mundane life? After realizing this stuff is real, we all have a spirit guide. We all, we all have a spirit guide. Divine archangels exist. Holy guardian angels exist. As well as these lower level entities exist. These gods of these different cultures exist, right? The Buddha exists, right? Jesus exists. All of these entities. I'm just going to forget about it and just go back to work. Like, no, it's not happening. So if you are experiencing that, like the fear kicks in, and ask yourself, are you just going to forget this all existed and just go back to your mundane life before you had your awakening? I don't think it's possible. You can try to ignore it, but you can't lie to yourself. You're going to continue to have experiences that's going to prove otherwise. Okay. So, vibrations, frequencies, and energy. Like I stated previously, everything in this universe vibrates. Your thoughts and your words. Let's dive into that. So, they say we're made up of like 70% water. This planet is majority water. So, when it comes to thoughts and words, like I stated, everything contains a vibrational frequency. The thoughts you think, they say your thoughts become your action becomes your thoughts become your words become your actions become your reality, essentially. So, if you have a thought, it's negative, and you speak words, it's negative, and this body is made of like 70% water. You are programming your body with the frequency to resonate, or to vibrate at that level. And why do I bring up the water thing? Well, water takes on whatever shape or form that it is in, and also whatever frequency. So let's say I have this singing bowl, and those are sound waves. What's happening is the sound waves, they're like waves in the water. They're reverberating out, right? You could think of this whole thing here as just a ocean of consciousness. So if we're a majority of water, or the reason why I bring up water is because there was a science experiment done by a guy named Dr. Emoto, where he took ice cube, can't even pronounce the word, icicles, as well as rice. He did two separate experiments. With the ice crystals, and as well with the rice, he spoke words of encouragement into it, powerful, like uplifting words into one, and he said negative things to the other. Well, with the ice crystals that he gave the words of affirmation to, the powerful words, the uplifting words, they formed a crystal or snowflake, a crystalline structure that was perfectly symmetrical. Right, the spiral, or the tree of life, or not the tree of life. My words are eluding me, but the sequence in which it created when it froze, when the water froze, created a very beautiful structure. The things he spoke negative things to created a distorted, weird looking structure. With the rice experiment, he had like rice soaked in water, and he spoke powerful words to one, and the rice looked good after some time. The negative one he did, and he also labeled them as well. The negative one he labeled and negative things to, like hate, and he spoke negative things to. It aged badly. It molded, had like maggots all in it. Like, it's just disgusting. So that lets you know the power of your words, and especially its effect on water, because water can hold that frequency quicker. And a majority water, then if you speak words of negativity to yourself or to others, especially like if you have a little kid and you steady pounding them with just either words of encouragement or words of negativity, they're going to get programmed to vibrate at a similar frequency. And which is why, or which is how a lot of times people's self-image is created from what they've heard others say about them. So the task is to vibrate higher, to do things that increase the frequency, the vibrational frequency, and to stay away from, as much as possible, the things that lower your frequency. What are these things that lower and raise your frequency? Quickly, the things that raise your frequency, the things that you get enjoyment from. That's the simplest way of putting it. If you like going hiking, go hiking. It's raising your frequency. If you like laughing, watching comedians, do that. Right? I used to, when I'm driving to music, listen to music, blasting my favorite music. Or I will watch some stand-up before work because I'm going to a negative environment. Okay? You can carry crystals with you. Everything, like I said, carries a frequency. It all vibrates. So these crystals have certain frequencies. So you can do that. And avoid things that lower your frequency, such as being around people you don't want to be around, doing activities you don't like to do, listening to things you don't want to listen to, watching the news that's just strictly negative. Okay? Those things lower your frequency, lower your vibrational frequency. So the purpose of this video was to show you or explain to you what vibrational frequencies are, the importance of them, why you should raise your frequency, why you should stay away from things that lower your frequency. Now, when it comes to these frequencies, it gets rather deep, because everything vibrates. So when you become conscious of this, you become conscious of your reality. You start to monitor things and say, is this raising my frequency? Is this raising my vibration, or is it lowering it? Is this food I'm eating, is it raising my frequency, or is it lowering it? Am I consuming dead food? Or is this food alive, like fruits and vegetables? Am I consuming that life force, or am I consuming a carcass? You will begin to pick up on the frequency of environments and people. This person, their energy's off. I'm gonna go and skedaddle, I'm gonna get on up out of here. Or the environment. You walk into, I don't know, a restaurant. You just take a deep breath. I don't want to be here. Right? The frequency's off for you. So vibrate higher, because it's going to raise your frequency so you can vibrate on a level where these higher things exist, and keep you away from these lower things. If you ever fallen asleep and you've experienced nightmares and night terrors, 9 times out of 10 is because when you went to sleep, you were vibrating at a low frequency, and then your astral body was in that plane of existence that vibrates at that frequency, which is low, which where these negative things happen. So that's a quick thing that we can all notice whenever you have a nightmare. Understand that's probably 9 times out of 10 what has occurred. I've also heard that whenever you're trying to contact your guides, your spirit guides, archangels, ascended masters, these higher level beings, they're not going to lower their frequency to meet you. No, you must raise to their frequency for them to communicate with you, or at least raise higher than what you are. So if you want to experience that, you must raise your frequency. Also, I have a theory that whenever someone gets intoxicated and they black out, what's happening is the body becomes so acidic, so low frequency, that the spirit can't inhabit it. It's too dense of a frequency that the spirit decides, you know what, I'm gonna take a step back. I can't dwell in this low vibrating thing. And so it takes a step back, and that's when you see people who pretty much blacked out, and you see them, but they're moving, they're functioning, right? And when they finally sober up, they don't remember anything. And this is my theory, because that body became so low vibrating that the spirit was like, it's too toxic. But also, you can say that opens you up for possessions. Not really full-on possessions, but something else can influence you, something that vibrates lower. And I am here to tell you that if you go to bars, clubs, strip clubs, things that's just vibrating lowly, you will see those low vibrating entities hanging around there. Because what's happening is you have certain entities that just vibrate on that frequency, but also certain people who have died and who don't want to transition and move on to the next life or what have you. They hang around because they have so many attachments to this physical realm, this third dimension, that they hang around these places because they so attached to these frequencies, to this lust, to this intoxication, to this alcohol, and to this, these drugs, drug abuse. So these entities are vibrating, or they are hanging out around these places because that's the frequency that they vibrate at. So whenever someone blacks out, it's my belief that something else can take over. I'm not saying it always takes over. Sometimes it's probably just a subconscious mind taking over, just performing the functions and what have you, or maybe it's the spirit from just a more detached place, moving everything. But that's just my theory. So to sum this up, don't give in. Oh yeah, also before I sum it up, so the emotions, high level emotions vibrate highly. Bliss, peace, abundance, happiness vibrates high. Low vibrating emotions are sadness, grief, depression, upset. This is why when someone is depressed, it's so easy for them to stay depressed, because not only do they put themselves in depressed moods, but you have those low vibrating entities that come around, they feed off of that, they leech off of that shit. You could be in a great mood, leave, go to like Walmart or something, come back, and all of a sudden you're down. Well, you probably walked past somebody who had an entity attached to them and it jumped on you, right? So keep your frequency so high that it's not even attracted to you. Also, you want to protect yourself with spiritual protection, but we'll talk about that in another video. But you want to vibrate higher, because as the woman stated, the veil is becoming more thin. We're moving to a higher density, so things are going to get more crazy. Or not even, I don't even want to say that. I don't want to promote fear, but things are the veil is thinning. I'll say that, right? Your spiritual prowess, your spiritual powers or your spiritual knowledge is going to be more important than ever. Because what's going on in the spiritual realms is a spiritual war. So you're going to want to be prepared, or at least just not completely in the dark. So vibrate higher. Do things that raise your frequency every day. If you have to go to places that vibrate low, such as a workplace or just certain environments, do things beforehand to program your energy to vibrate higher. Because when you come around and you come in contact with others, the frequency, the vibration, the aura that is the strongest is going to take over. So if your energy is so high and you come in contact with somebody's energy that's so low, either that person is so low or who's just lower, they're either going to raise in frequency with you, or they're going to just be irritated by it and they're going to skedaddle, you know? So understand that likes attracts like as well. So when you vibrate high, you're going to attract those things that vibrate on a similar frequency. You vibrate low, you're going to attract those things, people, places, and things that vibrate similar frequency. So if you experience negative things, it's probably because your frequency is low. But to avoid rambling and keep carrying on with this, I can talk about this all day. I'm going to wrap this video up. Vibrate higher, do things that you enjoy, avoid things that you do not enjoy, if you don't have to do them. Stop watching the fucking news. All right, but that's all I got. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.